my beautiful budding bakers. Boom, a boom, 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 boom. It is a glorious Sunday morning and I decided we're going to risk it for a biscuit. Now for those of you who know me so well, I do like chocolate. I was trying to think of a recipe that I could use to dunk, because are you a dunker for your lovely beautiful biscuits? I'm a dunker. So without further ado, we are doing bourbon chocolate biscuits. Have a look at these beautiful boys. Now, we have got the traditional bourbon biscuit. I have sandwiched it with some chocolate buttercream, and then I've pimped it up a bit with the same, changing the shape and dipping in white chocolate. So, this recipe, kids will absolutely adore. It's so fast, it's quick, it's easy, and the recipe is amazing. And a little hidden secret ingredient, custard powder. Now, trying to nail this recipe was challenging because I wanted to get the flavour of vanilla, I wanted to get the corn flour incorporated, but I also wanted to have that taste from the packet because I love my bourbons. So we are starting with 100 grams, can you see how soft that is, of butter in my trusty little containers. Whoop! Flying across the floor, landed on my kitchen floor. Whatever you do, don't step on the butter. Give or take 5 grams missing out of the recipe. So we have got 100 grams of caster sugar. In that goes. What a moron. In that goes. So we've got 100 grams of butter, 100 grams of caster sugar. In that goes. Clean as you go. Clean as you go. And we are putting on the mixer while we are waiting for the butter and the sugar to mix. I am incorporating the dry ingredients. So I have got 150 grams of plain flour. I've got 50 grams of custard powder. In goes the custard powder. Now, if you want to try this with vanilla extract and a teaspoon of corn flour, knock the socks off, but it will change the flavour of these cookies. They will not have the distinct bourbon flavour. So again, all I'm doing is I'm mixing the custard powder and the flour, and then I'm adding 20 grams of cocoa powder. We've got our sugar beaten away in our mixer, and now we've got the dry ingredients. So all I'm doing is blending. So we've got our custard powder, we've our plain flour, and we now have our cocoa powder in a dry mix. Next thing we're going to add is we're going to add our egg. So in goes our egg. As you go. And then we're going to sprinkle in our flour. As I keep saying, these are fabulous. Whatever containers you have, if you have everything, mise en place, everything ready, there is hardly any mess in the kitchen because it's just a matter of throwing in the ingredients bit by bit by bit by bit. Now, I can see that the butter is gathering at the end of the spatula, so I'm going to pick it up. I'm not going to lick the spatula, but I am going to get rid of the butter that is stuck to the beater. And while I'm doing that, I am just going to scrape down the bowl. And already I can smell the vanilla from the custard powder in this gorgeous mix. You can see how sticky it is. In goes our flour, flour, flour. Ba-bam. And look, my cleanup. Boom, 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 boom. So, there are no huge pots and everything else to wash up. You have a stack of containers. If you prepare in advance, mise en place, the kids like to have everything ready and then they get all excited about their cookies in the morning. So lads, stack. Done. So we have everything ready, clear workspace, and I'm turning off my mix. And that's it. Boom! That's all she wrote, lads. So take off the cookie dough off your beater. See, that's where you No, no, no. Thank you, my delicious titanium. We shall move Mr. Kenwood to the side. And then we are left with this gorgeous chocolate. Beautiful. Can you see how soft it is? Clean as you go. So we have our lovely worktop. Tiny bit of flour. Now you can see how soft this dough is. the beauty about this particular recipe is you do not need to chill the biscuits, because the biscuits, this cookie dough, does not spread when you're putting it into the oven. It is sticky, not too sticky that you can't handle it, but just perfect for rolling out. Tiny bit, as I said, always wipe your flour and then push away. So we've got cookie dough. Now, one of the things I love using are cookie spacers. Cookie spacers will give me even depth for the cookies, so it makes it much easier to keep an eye on your cookies because they're all relatively the same width. So again, all I'm doing is using my trusty granny rolling pin. Tiny bit of flour. I just don't want it sticking. And in come my spacers. Give the rolling pin a tiny bit of flour sprinkle. And again, you are running up the tracks. Compress the cookie dough because it just makes it easier. And you'll be able to hear when the cookie dough is ready because it'll run off the tracks. See, and here. Now, looking at the depth, if you want to zoom in, looking at the depth of the cookie, that now is quite thick. So I need to roll it out another little bit, but before I do, I'm going to cut one section in half to make my life a little easier. Move that to the side, tiny bit again of flour. I'll never over flour a worktop because there's nothing worse than getting a gobful of flour. Just making sure that it's even thickness first. Move the spaces away, and then I'm just going to gently push out. Don't worry about any lumps or bumps or cracks because you'll be able to cut around those. Now, so we have a very thin cookie. You must realize that obviously the cookies, when they're going to be baked, are going to be sandwiched together, so you don't want them too thick. Just do one last little roll out. Now, what's really handy is a pizza wheel. So use a pizza wheel for doing your cutting rather than a knife. The denial glasses are going on because I cannot see. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to get rid of the scrappy bits just to make my life that little bit easier. And it's about 2 finger width. So about 2 finger width. And I'm going to roll up. So 2 finger width. And these are the traditional style. So the traditional style Bourbon Biscuits are these delicious chocolate biscuits that are divine when they're dunked. I just want to get them even Steven relatively. They are not going to spread in the oven, which is fab because you can lay them up and they can be practically kissing each other. Now, one of the things as well, finger length. I have to stand at an angle so that I can get a better look. I'm going to cut straight across to create my little fingers. You can make them as long or as fat, but relatively the same. So I'm just even it up. Get rid of. So we have our extra dough. And out comes the tray. So I have prepared a tray with just parchment paper. Now, to get the technique, you get these fantastic bourbon cutters that are out there. So you can buy this cutter that indents the bourbon mark. But I'm thinking these are handmade. I want people to know and realize the love that has gone into these beautiful cookies. So I have used the end of a bamboo. Now obviously be careful because the top bit is spiky. Put it away from you or else you can snap it. Make it safer. And all I'm doing is I am indenting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm matching up the indentation on the other side. And that all that is just to give the pretend, the maquillage look. Lads, these are pretend bourbon biscuits. But I'm telling you, when these are in the oven, they are absolutely divine. They come out crunchy. But what, this is a bit of a speed wobble, but what is divine with them is the chocolate buttercream. So the chocolate buttercream sandwiches these beautiful little beauties together. And then what I have done is I've changed the shape of the cookie and I've done it in a little fluted round scone cutter. And again, I've just got creative and I have dunked it in chocolate. So I've used Belgian chocolate. This is where you could use milk chocolate, you can use dark chocolate. The dark chocolate is divine, but it is very bitter. So if you have the dark chocolate and your beautiful bourbon biscuits, the problem is you will have quite a bitter cookie because the dark chocolate obviously has a strong flavor. The white chocolate and milk chocolate complement this cookie better. So again, stay with me, lads. I didn't have any other professional looking gadget to give me anything other than the back of a bamboo stick, because I don't know if you can see, but as you indent, it pushes in a little circle, so it's not spiked, and it does give that telltale signature style for the bourbon biscuit. Lads, we're nearly there, we're nearly there. Dun, dun. We should have elevator music on in the background. Now, I've broken that one because that one could be an upside down one, filled with buttercream. Nobody's going to know. Now, the other thing too, which is very handy when you have, where is it? Palette knife. When you are removing your cookie. But the only problem is when you're trying to take all 5 of them off the top at the same time, you're better off using a wallpaper scraper. So I use this for my chocolate work. So I love working with chocolate and sculpted chocolate. So a wallpaper scraper. So in goes the wallpaper scraper, and it makes life much easier to take off your little cookies. Now the wallpaper scraper, under a fiver, I can't even tell you how much they are because I've had mine for so long. They stand the test of time. They're a fantastic grip, and you just slide them underneath and out it pops. The same goes for taking anything out of the oven. Bread rolls, I use my wallpaper scraper, and they are a fraction of the price as opposed to the expensive palettes. And there we go. Now, because these are relatively small, they're only about a finger's width, you're talking about 10 to 12 minutes max in the oven. If they're longer fingers, they could take anything from 12 to 15 minutes. So about 10 minutes to 12 minutes, perfect, 180 in a preheated oven. And over we go. Make about 18 cookies. So, just to give you an idea of what I've done. They come out. Can you hear that? They're going to be beautiful and crunchy. And you have your chocolate biscuit. But the pièce de résistance is your chocolate buttercream. Now, rather than going through the method again of the chocolate buttercream, because I've done so many recipes with buttercream, this basically is a 2-to-1 ratio. So for example, for this particular recipe, I have used 250 grams of icing sugar, 125 grams of butter, and 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder, and about a tablespoon of milk. But this is where you'll know if the butter is quite soft as you're mixing it, whether you need to add another bit of milk or whether you need to hold off. Always start with a little, and you can always add more. So with our chocolate buttercream, it's lovely and soft. I would tend to put this into a piping bag just to make it faster, but for those who don't have a piping bag, I'm just going to put it, little blob, onto the cookie. Now, do not be mean with the chocolate butter or buttercream because these are divine. And you press together like so, and hard press so it squidges, and then you run your finger and you get rid of any excess around, and you have a cookie. So we'll do that again. So we have, I'm gone all very quiet. She's gone very quiet. Gone all quiet because I'm concentrating on filling the chocolate buttercream in my biscuit. This is sensational to eat. So again, and you sandwich and it squidges, and you just get rid of the excess chocolate buttercream, and you have your bourbon biscuit. Now, the only difference with this is I have used a scone cutter, okay? So with the scone cutter, again, a tiny blob of a chocolate buttercream. You can fill it with a ganache if you want to go posh. I do like the chocolate buttercream because there's a lovely sweetness to it without the bitterness. And again, squidge, squidge. And we have a round one. Now, with the decoration of the chocolate round cookies. Maybe are they coming off? They are. So all I've done with these is I have dipped them in white chocolate. You can dip them in milk chocolate. You can put sprinkles on them for kids. You don't have to sandwich them with chocolate buttercream. You could leave them plain and dip the whole lot in chocolate and you've got a chocolate biscuit. They are such a versatile cookie. So I have used 100 grams. They come in callets of Calabo chocolate. I get my chocolate from Bake World. There is also a fabulous gingerbread house in Middleton that are now doing online purchases, sales online, and gingerbread.ie if you want to click on it. Emma, you're amazing. So she's now setting up on, due to COVID and regulations, and making it that little bit challenging for small businesses. Emma is based in Middleton and Cork, and she too has the Calabo in different weight packets, and you've got Peter Dunn in Bake World. He also sells the chocolate, and that's where I get it. So this is the milk chocolate callet, and I have melted the white. The white I have used for these cookies. The reason I'm showing you this is because these containers are microwavable. And what I like is that anytime I'm working with chocolate, I'll always keep it in this packet, or in this container rather. Because if you keep it in this container, and then when you crack the sides when it's cold, it can come out in one lump. So it comes out much easier. You can remelt again. But what I do like, zoom, zoom, is it's very easy to grate, because now I can pick it up. Isn't that great? So now, because if you have it on a sheet of paper, you can pour it out on a sheet of paper. But the fact now that I can actually grate this, because it's just easier. And you've got your grated white chocolate. It's even easier again when you have a bigger chunk. And great, 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 great. So the thing is, keeping your chocolate into these containers is fabulous. If you are ever looking for molds, they're fantastic for molds, because you can swirl the chocolate around. You can create a chocolate nest for desserts. And again, flex, and out it pops, and you've got the shell and container of a chocolate fabulous cup that you can fill with chocolate mousse, cake, strawberries. So these are very versatile. Again, 8 in a pack for $1.50 in deals. I think they're genius. So anyone with kids, it's fabulous because you can prep all your ingredients, keep everything together. Now, I am throwing out a suggestion next week before you all kill me with the C word. I was thinking of doing a delicious, very quick, very easy fruit cake recipe, where I could give you the recipe next week for the soap to be fruiting, and then on Sunday could be practically a bake-along. Let me know if you'd like to have the C word included next week, or whether you want me to do a sticky toffee pudding, do you want me to do decorating biscuits, sugarcraft, figurines, models. I am at your mercy now, lads. You need to let me know what you would love to do for this bake-along. So I shall see you again next Sunday at 10.